Mikee P back on the In the Money Media YouTube channel, In the Money Players podcast on the audio side as well. Talking Keenelands. Keeneland is back, and you know spring is in full swing with Keeneland starting. And the guy that writes the Keeneland Journal on In the Money Plus is Eric DeCoster. Eric, I have been very much enjoying reading your journal daily for Keeneland. So welcome to the podcast and talk about the journal just a little bit.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. Always happy to talk some Keeneland, especially what we're going to cover today. But basically, it's just a digest every single day of what to expect on the card, who are some names to watch, jockeys and trainers. I give out a few spot plays every day. Some hit, some don't. It's a tough meet, but I always enjoy it because it gives me more time to flesh out my ideas, figure out who I like and don't like, and also hopefully give out a few winners in the process. Just super fun discussion, and always look forward to it.
Yeah, if you're a Plus subscriber, you're getting that Keeneland Journal. We're going to do a couple teases for the free folks this weekend. So obviously In the Money Plus, ramping up for that Derby coverage. It's going to be fantastic coverage on the Plus side. So jump into In the Money Plus, inthemoneypodcast.com/plus. Well, Eric, the Derby preps wrapped up this past weekend. Well, we have the Lexington, but I'm not sure if any of those horses are going to really be pointing to that first Saturday in May. So I'd say the field is pretty well set. You do the top 10 for In the Money Media every week. And yeah, I thought a great show with Pete last week talking Derby. Now, you know, these latest three preps, what'd you think? And, you know, has it affected your top 10?
Not a whole lot. Further Ado moved up, but didn't crack the number one spot. I thought he was impressive. But I felt like I didn't learn a ton about him because I didn't think the quality of competition was that strong. But you can't deny this horse's ability. I think it's a really solid group at the top end. I think there's 5 or 6 horses who realistically can win the race. So that's good. But I've been saying it for months, Mikey. This is the latest developing group I've ever seen on the Derby Trail, which has made it so hard to do the top 10 because back in late November, early December, when we dropped the first one, I literally said, don't be surprised if none of these horses make it. And I think maybe 1 or 2 have. Further Ado and Incredible are the 2 that come to mind. So it's been a tricky year, but I think we're getting to a good group that it looks like it's going to be a really competitive race. So I'm excited for it. The other 2 preps this weekend I think are pretty inconsequential. No horses from that race cracked the top 10.
Yeah, and the winners there, they'll be in the gate in Kentucky, hopefully, as everyone stays healthy. But they're definitely going to have to get better to maybe get on the upper end. But Derbies are a little hinky, and you never know what's going to happen. I mean, you know, when you have a Rich Strike winning at 80-1, it feels like all bets are off. You never know what's going to happen in the Derby.
No, absolutely not. We think we know, and most of the time you're in the right ballpark without as much time as you spend on it. But like you said, you'll have Epicenter and you'll have a Xanda, and then boom, here comes a Rich Strike to blow up the party. But that's what makes the Derby fun. We love it.
Yeah, my favorite Pete story is we did, I think, several hundred hours of coverage on the network and never mentioned Rich Strike, not once.
My favorite story about that is at the very last minute, because I was doing a lot of the written profiles for the free site. And once he drew in, I threw one together really, really quick. And that was the only thing we had on him. So that's my proudest accomplishment in the money. I was the only person to give him mention in the day leading up to the Derby.
Oh, never know this year. Maybe Eric might be giving the mentions to look for those Derby write-ups too on the Plus side. Eric, that weekend at Churchill is going to be massive. And, you know, some news this past week, some of our friends at Morning Line Club, their horses certainly didn't necessarily get into the Derby like Blackout Time was a big one for them. And I think he's pointing to the American Turf, though, on Derby weekend. So plenty of opportunities, even though that they didn't quite get in the gate with Blackout Time. That American Turf's $1 million purse. You know, taken by the win is also going to show up on Derby weekend. So, Erica, I know that you're familiar with morningline.io and their concept, the stock market for horses. That's going to be a fantastic weekend there with some of those horses that you can still buy shares of on morningline.io. Talk a little about Morningline and some of those big horses that you can just jump in and grab a piece.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's not the Derby, but it's hard to make the Derby, but you still have the chance to be involved with high-level horses. The American Turf, you mentioned $1 million. It's a grade 1. It's Kentucky Derby Day. Hundreds of thousands of people are going to be watching the race or at the race, and you get to say you're a part of it in a way. And same with Taken by the Wind. I believe that race is on Oaks Day. It's a huge purse on that race, graded stakes on the line. How could you not want to be a part of that? So a huge opportunity. And like I said, there's still plenty of time. We still have almost 3-4 weeks until the big days.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I do hear some buzz around Morning Line that maybe one of those Derby horses might end up on the site. So we'll stay tuned for that. Haven't got final confirmation, but certainly when our friends at morningline.io find out that news, we will get it out to you quickly. Well, Eric, we were looking at this card, and for Keeneland on Friday, these 3 turf races look amazing, and they do have that $3 turf pick 3 that we both like so much. Races 5, 7, and 9. Really no brainer for us to cover.
How could you not? This is maybe the best betting sequence of the meet so far, and maybe will be. I mean, we'll talk about the 2 graded stakes. I think it's fascinating that we get to talk about the approaches you can take with it, because you have 2 Breeders' Cup winners showing up between the 2 races. And do you single them? Do you go deep? Do you try to beat them? I mean, how could you not want to tackle this bet with those opportunities?
Yeah, Keeneland, even on Fridays, they have some grade 1 races. And we're going to go to race 5. It's a 2X, Eric, on the grass. Mound is 16th. Nice big full field. And you said you love your horse that you're picking to kick off this $3 turf pick 3. Love those high minimums. So hit us. Who do you like in the 5th?
Yeah, we'll give it a little plug for the Keeneland Journal. I'll have way more on my top choice in this race than there, but that's the 8 Bracelet. She won a race here last fall, looked really sharp, threw a strong buyer, winning that day. And then 2 starts since then, or 3 starts since then, I should say. 2 in Stakes Company, 1 decent, 1 bad, and then an off the turf race last time out at Fairgrounds that didn't go great. But I'm excited to see her back at a track she clearly likes. She kind of pulled up a mild upset that day, given the connections of Prat and Brad Cox. You don't usually get double-digit odds on them at a place like Keeneland, but you did with this filly. And I don't think you'll get as good of a price today, but I think it'll still be decent. And I'm hopeful she'll return to that form in this spot. I think there's plenty of other good ways to go here too, though. The 6 Windflower will be on my tickets. I think she could maybe steal this on the front end. Needs to get a little faster, but she really woke up when allowed to run early and control things on the lead. And then the 10, One More Dance. I'm a sucker for Brendan Walsh at Keeneland. I talk about him just about every day in the journal. And I think that this filly, who has decent form overseas, makes her first start in the U.S., which is a strong angle for Brendan Walsh. That might just get her to perform well here, even though she hasn't run in a while.
What do you think of her work, that last work that you can catch on XBTV? It seemed like pretty solid. It was in company that day. I know Brendan hasn't really gotten off to the best start at the meet so far, but this one has a look. She certainly faced nice ones in Ireland in the past. You have the main man, Tyler, up. You get Lasix. There's things that make this one interesting.
No doubt. I mean, yeah, Brendan and Walsh, Tyler Gaffalione, they're a very potent duo at Keeneland. Unfortunately, they haven't found the winner's circle as much as they'd like, but their horses are fiery. And I think this really, like you said, really strong work, a good series of works really into this spot. And Brendan's just so good getting these horses ready, especially for Keeneland, first time off the boat from Europe. So I always look to him in spots like this.
My top pick has a tough post, but is the 12 Lady. I think it's Ilze. I'm going to go Ilze because that's just how I like to say it. It's Cassie. It's Jose Ortiz. This one won the German 2000 Guineas last year, going a mile over a yielding course. And then they tried grade 1, ran into some Cinderella's Dream, ran into Crimson Advocate. Very, very sharp older horses. Well, she was a 3-year-old filly in that spot. She finished 5th. No disgrace. Was 50-1. Shipped to Kentucky Downs, and I thought raced okay. Ran into Special One. It's Our Time. Kentucky Downs can be tricky also. Now it's Fresh Cassie. Watch the works on this one if you go to XBTV. Really, really sharp this filly looks. I do think she's very interesting to show up in this spot. Gets Lasix. Cassie off the bench is okay. He's with a 180-day layoff, he's 14%, but he's sharp with everything. And I just like the way she looked. I think she's going to be a price, and I think that she's a use in a very wide open race. I like her. I don't mind your 8. I think is definitely a use in there. And I think the 3, Something About Other was another one that was interesting for Brendan Walsh. Comes back. Stakes Company last year, didn't disgrace. Nice win, or nice third over this track in the Valley View. Had trouble in there. Despite being 35-1, I thought raced very well and was moving forward in the stretch. Now she's back, gets Lasix. I mean, this could be a preppy type spot, but Irad shows up here. Just another horse that has a chance, Eric.
No doubt. I mean, as a filly, I've chased a few times to no avail. She's almost afraid of winning at times, but those are much tougher races. She gets a little class relief today, and that could easily move her up into the right spot.
Any love for the 7 in the Stars? Another one, I guess, that would have a chance. Win over the track back in October. They tried them as Revere, no bueno, but it was 14-1 versus Lush Lips. That was a tough spot at Churchill there on November 28th. She's one that maybe could be a little more forward with Saez. He's familiar with her. I do think she has possibilities also.
I think so too. She's more of a B for me, but I do think she's in with a chance. Rusty Arnold tends to be pretty solid with horses off the layoff. This filly hasn't run since last fall, but she had 2 nice wins leading into that Mrs. Revere, which is a really tough race. But she really woke up getting back on the grass and ran competitive races. You get Saez aboard, so lots of positive indicators here. I mean, we got a $3 minimum here, so you can only use so many. But if you have a bigger budget, I would include her for sure.
Yeah, pedigree on that one too. Stellar Wind on the dam side. She was certainly quite, and you got Into Mischief on the top. So bred to be a nice one, Eric. Anything else in this spot? You ready to move on?
We can move on. I mean, you can't talk me off most of them here, and that'll be a recurring theme throughout these few races. But if you can go deep in here, I think it's fair.
Race 7, grade 3 limestone stakes. They're going 5.5 on the turf. It's 3-year-old fillies. And you mentioned the Breeders' Cup winners. Well, Sci-Fair is back. Now, she beat the boys in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. She's back against the girls as a 3-year-old filly. She's 9-5 morning line. But again, starting point for her. Eric, does she win or are you looking to beat her?
I'm going to stick with her, but I can't blame anyone for going through. It's really it's a horse that you can't not use because the quality competition she beat in the Breeders' Cup, how dominant she was that day, really, you can't poke holes in her. So you really can't logically go against her. But I also can't blame anyone for using a lot of horses in here because so many of these fillies have shown some vast improvement this year. So Sci-Fair, I mean, realistically, on my cheapest ticket, she's a lone A. But you'll see me use a couple others in here come Friday when I put my ticket together. The one Sapphire be training 89 by or 2-back, going 5/8 on the grass at Gulfstream. That's a really good number, even at this level. So, she's one you have to keep involved. The 4 Quiet Street was undefeated turf sprinting last fall for Bill Mott. He gave her some time after a good effort in the Miss Grillo. But boy, this is a great spot to have her back, especially if they go quick early. She's going to be making a big run. And Snowface Princess, I'm not probably going to use her, but I can't really knock her because she beat Sci-Fair last year. That's how good and deep this is. A horse that I really don't plan on using beat the horse that I think has better chance than anybody. So yeah, you can go a million ways in this race. I'm not going to talk you off of them, but Sci-Fair at the end of the day does have the best resume, best quality to her. It's just a question if she's ready to roll off that layoff.
Yeah, I like Sapphire Beach also. She's 10-1 morning line, and if you watch that sprint on February 5th, she galloped. She was really, really good in there. Now, she had Lasix there, but it was off the bench. Obviously, they thought a lot of her. Last year sprinting, she was in one of those Kentucky Downs, huge allowance races for big pots. So George Arnold barn going very well. Last time, they tried her long, and they rated her. I don't think that that's what she wants, honestly. And then she got beat by horses like Lion Lake, Sister Troyan, and Storm's Wake. Shout out Nick Tamero for blasting that one all over every network and would be a 20+1 winner this past Saturday. So facing nice ones. Now you get back to a sprint. You got the rail. She's very quick. And I think that she could be the speed of the speed or just off it and make a big run. She's a must use for me on this ticket. I think that she's just one that, back to the sprint. It just is very interesting. And another one I think sprinting could be the thing is the 11th Slay the Day, another price, 15-1 morning line here. Johnny V, well, again, watch that race on March the 6th. Now, these are better horses, but got to the grass for Brian Lynch. And this one was in control of that sprint the entire way around the racetrack. And then when it was time to kick for home, she did. She went 21-43 and finished up in 54-3. So hard not to like her, especially given this post. I think you got Johnny V. He's the right rider. She has to come off Lasix here, but we'll see. They're stepping into this race. Sci-Fair is going to take a ton of money. I think Snowface Princess will take a ton of money. Lenny Lou will take a lot of money also, given her sprint resume. So, Eric, there's, like you said, lots of ways to go.
No doubt. I think Slay the Day, the 11 will also end up on my tickets because, like you said, really woke up when she made the surface switch and looked really sharp. Another filly I haven't mentioned, but like Slay the Day, woke up with the surface switch. That's the 5, Light One Up. First start of the year off a huge layoff, wins the stakes at Santa Anita, kind of blitzes them in the process. You get Antonio Fresu coming over to take the mount. Just a tremendous leap in that race, both visually and figure-wise. to throw an 80 with that much time between races in a stakes. That's pretty impressive for fillies this young, still figuring it out. So it's a great race. I mean, Cypher might win by 5, and that's that, but it's going to be an exciting watch regardless.
Yeah, Cypher, ultra talented. I mean, and just can do it any which way. And some of those trips from last year, if she's better this year, look out, because she was amazing at 2, beating up on those boys. Well, we'll see what happens in her return at Keeneland here on Friday. Well, if you thought the first 2 races were good, we got the Grade 1 Maker's Mark Mile in race number 9. And Eric, I mean, who else would you want in here? You got Rhetorical. You got One Stripe, who raced very well on Pegasus Day. Troubleshooting loves this. And then how about the Breeders' Cup Mile winner, Notable Speech? Do you like the favorite? This is another wide open turf race.
No doubt, no doubt. Whereas in the middle leg, the Limestone Stakes, I am probably going to use a few others, even though I'm very confident in Cypher. This one, I might use some others, but most realistically, I'm comfortable singling the Breeders' Cup winner, Notable Speech, because Charlie Appleby, he's not going to run this horse here if he doesn't think he can win it. He just doesn't do that. He hits an incredibly high percentage shipping horses over, and this guy is no exception. Obviously, a 2,000 Guineas winner early on in his career. He's run 3 really good races this side of the pond, including those 2 wins to end last year. The Breeders' Cup Mile was dominant, beating a field extremely talented, but not too different than this one, and he blew them away. So I think Charlie's going to have him tuned up, and he's got William Buick in town to take the ride. Just tons of positive indicators, but there's so many other good horses in here. You mentioned the 2 One Stripe, a horse that I've had on my side more often than not. I probably won't today because I do think he wants a little longer than a flat mile, but talented horse. The 2 I was interested in, and they're really more prices that I'll include underneath. Maybe not so much in this all turf pick 3, but maybe chase some exotics with the 6 Zulu Kingdom. This is kind of an ambitious spot for Chad Brown to bring it back. I know he doesn't have a lot of conditions. He's won a lot of graded stakes over his career. Grade 1 winner last year on Derby Day, that American Turf we referenced. He won it last year. But he's kind of light on figures, and I think that's going to give you some value that you should chase with this horse if you can, or like I said, at least mix him in underneath, because you got Prat, you got Chad Brown, and you got a Grade 1 caliber horse here. He's just not been exposed to this level. And my other one is the 12 Brilliant Birdie, kind of an underrated horse, really. You don't hear a lot about him, but he's very accomplished, brings his race pretty much every time, and has a really good record at Keeneland. He'll win in a 3rd in 2 efforts over this. Won a Grade 3 here a few years ago. 3rd in last year's Turf Mile in the fall. His one comeback race this year at Fairgrounds left a lot to be desired, but I'm expecting him to move forward a little bit off that. So another horse I'll probably have underneath Notable Speech.
Yeah, Notable Speech. It's the one to beat, right? I mean, he 2 straight Grade 1s, won the Woodbine Mile, and did it very easily. At 2-5, won the Breeders' Cup Mile. Got a nice ride that day, but he was much the best in there with that inside skimming ride there from William Buick. His class is undeniable for sure. He's made $3.1 million. I like Rhetorical over this racetrack. I did like that race in the Turf Mile last year, and really in the Breeders' Cup, I do think that he was sort of in the wrong spot. He had to make an early move given where he was, and I thought he raced well. He got tired late, but he plays well over this track, and now he's a 5-year-old. You got Irad here back on. I think he has a puncher's chance to knock over the favorite in here. I think it's probably those 2. I could see One Stripe. I thought he raced very well in the Pegasus, just missed, and maybe with a little bit of a better trip, a little bit of a better ride, might have beat Pescore that day. But Motion brings this one back. You got Johnny back on, so that one has possibilities, but I mean, Eric, you mentioned Zulu Kingdom. That's a really nice horse. Wolfie's Dynaghost was running holes through the wind for a couple starts in a row until last time. I'm not sure what happened there, but if he gets back to form, he can beat these horses. And then you got Deterministic off 2 straight Grade 1s. You didn't even mention him quite yet. He's back from Miguel Clement, and we know the Clement barn can bring him in fresh.
Absolutely, yeah. It's crazy we've gotten this far and not even talked about a horse who was eligible for Eclipse honors last year with his 2 big Grade 1 wins last year. Yeah, he's got a chance. I mean, it's really just a question of if Notable Speech doesn't bring his A game, who can clean it up? And I mean, Rhetorical, Deterministic, absolutely there. That's where the strategy comes in. That's the dilemma we're all going to be facing as we play this wager is, how deep can you go? How expensive can your ticket get? Because, yeah, you can absolutely use Rhetorical, Notable Speech, Deterministic. But then in the middle leg, are you only using Cypher? In the first leg, are you only using 2 or 3, or are you going to go 4 or 5 deep? These are all things people are going to have to consider, but that's what makes this wager on this particular day so fascinating, and I'm excited to take a stab at it.
Yeah, this is a great sequence, and I have your tickets up here. Your horses that your big A's and B's there, you can see them, and you mentioned the different construction. You're going to have to make some interesting moves as far as ticket construction here. Just kind of get those B's in there, especially with that $3 minimum. But this certainly is, I think, going to be a fantastic return. Just no matter who wins, just that wide open, lots of combinations are going to be covered, Erica. So maybe take us through your tickets a little bit, maybe how you would structure and, some of the plays you might make.
Yeah, I think no matter what, I will play my ticket with my A's and B's from race 5, the first leg, because I think that one's pretty wide open. My best bet of the day is in that race outside of the stakes. But it's a tough card, so it's hard to be fully confident. And then I'll stick with the Breeders' Cup winners as my singles if I can get that right price in the 5th race, and then get home with those 2 likely favorites. $3 minimum, you're guaranteed a return. But an alternate ticket could be my A's from race 5, and then mix in a few, if not all, my B's in that race 7. That's the one I'm going to be honest, I'm least confident in, because 3-year-old fillies, just so much can change from a fall season to now springtime. So many of these horses have really good recency to them that it makes me less confident to ride solo with Cypher if I'm trying to stay cheap on Friday, or I've gotten things handed to me the next couple of days, and we'll see. But that's the one I'm least confident in. Race 9, I am going to probably ride at the end of the day just with Notable Speech, and then play some verticals with Rhetorical, Deterministic, Zulu Kingdom, and the 12 Brilliant Birdie. But it's a day where you really have to put some thought into it. You're not just going to be firing away for the fun of it.
Yeah, I'm going to take some shots with some prices. Obviously, I like prices in the first leg there, race 5. Plenty of different ways you can go in there. I'm going to press up Sapphire Beach at 10-1 morning line. I just like what I saw in the sprint. I like the draw. I do think that she's sneaky in here. The barn going very well. Horses are moving forward here. They point to Keeneland, back to what she wants to do. I do think if you can beat Cypher, that's going to be a huge separator. So I do want to build some tickets around that horse. That's one that I'm definitely pressing up there in race number 7. And I do think, like you mentioned, Notable Speech in race number 9. I'd press up Rhetorical a little also. Just that nice win over the track. The horses that like this Keeneland turf course, that cannot be underestimated. And I do think he was a little unlucky in the Breeders' Cup with a better ride, better trip. This horse likes to win, so he's another one that I would want to press up a little bit. And you mentioned some B's. I might use a little one stripe there with a couple of my prices. I might throw in some Deterministic, some Wolfie's Dynaghost just for a penny, right? I mean, just maybe for a combination that if I can get a couple of my A's home early, especially at prices, want to be alive to them, which will be I think a nice score. Well, Eric, like you mentioned, best sequence, I think, so far at the meets, these $3 turf pick 3s. And now they have $3 late pick 3s also that are paying very well. This Friday at Keeneland is low